Welcome back. We are expecting a news conference any minute now from the Albany County Sheriff after former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo was charged with a sex crime. Now, according to court documents filed in Albany, Cuomo is accused of forcible touching. That's a Class A misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail or 3 years of probation. The complaint alleges that Cuomo inappropriately touched the victim inside the executive mansion last December. Cuomo's attorney released a statement immediately after the charges were announced, saying in part, Governor Cuomo has never assaulted anyone, and Sheriff Apple's motives here are patently improper. Adding, quote, this is not professional law enforcement, this is politics. Joining us now, our Cuomo accuser, Karen Hinton, who says Cuomo sexually harassed her when they worked together at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Also with us is former sex crimes prosecutor Wendy Davis. And Karen, you made the point to our team that the governor here is charged with breaking a law that he signed. So what's your reaction to this?
Well, it's hard to explain in many ways. I mean, the Cuomo spokesman said the charge was laughable, but I don't think anyone is laughing about this. This is a serious charge, and it speaks to the larger issue of sexual harassment across the country. It is pervasive. It is a problem. It is serious in the workplace. And no man, whether governor or not, CEO or not, is supposed to touch a woman in the workplace inappropriately as a female employee. And that's what Andrew Cuomo did. That's clear from both the AG's report, Tish James' report, as well as what the Albany County Sheriff is saying.
So Wendy Murphy, these are serious charges. What does it mean to be charged with forcible touching? And if convicted, what kind of sentencing could Cuomo possibly be facing?
Well, Jeff, on the sentencing issue, I think it's fair to say he won't go to jail just because it's his first offense and it's a misdemeanor. And it would be inappropriate, I think, to punish him much more harshly than an ordinary person might be punished. But to prove the charges, it's really not that difficult. The word forcible is used in the description of the statute, but forcible simply means anything more than a light brush. You know, you don't have to hurt someone. You just have to touch them in a way that involves the use of pressure. The allegations here are that he clearly reached under the victim's shirt and touched her breast in a way that used pressure that would fit the definition of force under the New York law. It also has to be done for the purpose of causing degradation to the victim or sexual pleasure, if you will, to the person who does the offense. And I think, again, this was clearly done not as an accident or something incidental to something else he was doing. This was done for sexual purposes, and it was degrading to the victim. So the facts to me are clear and overwhelming that this was a crime, and it should be charged as a crime. The notion that this is somehow politically motivated, there may be something to that. Maybe there are a lot of political people behind the scenes who are delighted that he's being criminally prosecuted. And there's something to Cuomo's claims that these people are just trying to go, do things to hurt him politically. But two things can be true. Yes, there's some political stuff behind the scenes, and he committed a crime, and he should be prosecuted for it. That's really the simple story here. He deserves to be prosecuted because he committed a crime, plus he was the governor, plus he was in a position of authority and power, plus he assaulted so many other women. I mean, why wouldn't you prosecute him?
Karen, the current New York State Governor, Kathy Hochul, she responded to these allegations, the charges today. Take a listen to this.
Well, in the last 24 hours, there were many reports swirling around, of course, and I will tell you a couple things. One is that I have always stood with and continue to believe the women in this situation, but all women who've come forward to bring forth allegations of sexual harassment or abuse. Secondly, no one will ever question what we're doing in our administration. I have taken very strong steps, and we're doing everything we can to create an environment where people feel safe and secure in every way we can think of it. So we are working very hard to erase this culture.
She says we are working very hard to erase this culture. What's your reaction to that, Karen?
That is terrific. And all governors should follow her lead. All attorney generals across the country should follow Tish James's lead and really take these kinds of claims and allegations and charges seriously. Now, at the same time, I'm not a judge. I'm not on the jury. I can't make this decision for them. They will make it based on the facts that are presented by both sides. He's innocent until proven guilty. I get that. I am not joyful about what is happening to him. He has been a good, great governor of New York. He's done things that are very important. Marriage equality. We just are now talking about paid family leave. All those issues that he's supported are important, and I'm glad he did it. But he knew better. He passed the law. He signed the law. He knew better. He knew he should not be touching an employee, a female employee, in the workplace inappropriately, forcibly. And that is why now he's in trouble. And it's his own doing. It's nobody else's fault. It's not the politicians, whether it's Tish James or Governor Hochul or other people who may want to run for governor. They're not the reason that he's in the trouble he's in right now.
Wendy Murphy, there's been some confusion since the charges were announced, mainly because the Albany district attorney says that he was surprised by this development. Here's his full statement. It reads this way: like the rest of the public, we were surprised to learn today that a criminal complaint was filed in Albany City Court by the Albany County Sheriff's Office against Andrew Cuomo. The Office of Court Administration has since made that filing public. Our office will not be commenting further. How were these charges filed without first notifying the DA?
Well, I know that's been characterized as unusual, but the sheriff has said, look, they do this all the time in misdemeanor cases. They don't consult with the prosecutor when moving forward on a case that's minor, like a misdemeanor. They do it all the time. It is typical for the police, or in this case, the sheriff, to consult with the prosecutor to make sure the prosecutor is willing to proceed with the charges once they're filed. You want to make sure the prosecutor agrees with you that it's a case that should be filed. And the fact that that didn't happen here does seem a little bit awkward to me, but the sheriff has said that it's been their practice in the past to do this as a matter of course when it's a misdemeanor offense. Now, the interesting thing, Jeff, is after the case is filed and after November 17th, when Cuomo appears in court and the case formally gets underway, an interesting question is, will the prosecutor then drop the charges because they do disagree with what the sheriff did? It's an interesting question. I think politically it would be very difficult for the prosecutor to get away with that, but there may be disagreement. Politically or legally, there may be disagreement between law enforcement and the prosecutor as to whether this case should have been filed.
Karen Hinton, as we live in this moment where powerful men are being called out for their behavior, I remember much earlier in my career, I was a much younger reporter covering New York politics, and you were still a comms professional at the time, and you had this reputation for being at the top of your game. And word was, if you're going to call or email Karen Hinton, you better know what you're talking about, because she's like the Michael Jordan of comms. How was it navigating your way to the top of your profession while also working in environments that were hostile towards you, that were not created for your success, and where, as you allege, you were, forcibly touched, harassed by Governor Cuomo?
Well, I have written a book about sexual harassment, gender discrimination, abuse, and I use my own experiences. I've been in this business for over 40 years, and I use my experiences to really tell the public, whoever wants to buy the book and read it, how it has impacted me, but also other women that I knew and worked with or were friends with, and how it impacted their lives. And at my time, I'm 63, and in my time in politics, you just were intimidated, threatened, frightened, very scared to speak up, not shut up. And it was very hard for me to do that with Andrew Cuomo. And I wish I had said something. So my book, I started it long before and finished it long before the 11 women began to speak up about what happened to them. And it just gave me a lot of motivation to get that book out, to talk about this issue as it relates to women from the time I was 16 to the time I'm 63. And I call the book Penis Politics. And I call it that because it is not about sex. It is about power and control. That's what happens, not only in the workplace, but in the classroom, in schools, in colleges, and in other jobs in the private sector, CEOs, directors, vice presidents. It always happens, and it's about power and control and authority.
Good afternoon. My name's
We're going to take you straight away to this press conference. Karen and Wendy, thanks so much.